looking at the YouTube channel that sorted that bit as well. Right, over to my friend Peter. M0 PBF in the group. M0 AUG, I think Peter. M0 AUG, M0 PBF. Well, good evening to everybody. And I enjoyed the talk last night. I'm not sure how much of it I understood. I made about half a page of notes and I spent an hour or so this afternoon going through some. I'm very impressed with this radar, radar array in graphs. That's some installation. Whether it's what its ultimate purpose is, I'm not really sure. Don't trust anything that the military have made. But the Camras dish in Holland, there is, you can get that site in English. It comes up in Dutch, and it took me a few minutes to find where the English translation is, but there is a very good English translation there as well. So quite interesting. The one that was disappointing was the Deep Space Network. When I got to that site, every like little dish like the screen that clicked on came up that it was being maintained. So I didn't get anything after that. Probably were pretty major. There we go. And that was that. And yes, the propagation of HF hasn't been most brilliant, has it? It was, I think it was K3. It was K3 yesterday and K4 today. And they're threatening a G2 storm in the next day or so. Back to you, Jeff. M0 AUT, M0 PBF. M0 PBF in the group, M0 AUT. Yes, thanks, Peter. And not only about your comments on the talk last night, but the added word of information that we always get from you as well. So thanks again. On the journey now to our friends Mike and Chandler. DL1 of VJW with DL8 of the ET. Good evening to you both. Over to you, Mike, please.
Yes, only one, Robert. Very good evening to all. And WX here is excellent. We've had 26 degrees at noon time, and now temperatures down again on. Will bring us even higher temperatures up to 32 degrees, which is a little bit too much for me. And of course, thunderstorms again. So down with the antennas outside in the garden. I think now I can go into Olympic Games in bringing up the antennas in the air and taking them down again. I should really try to get this acknowledged. But besides of that, we have been participating at the talk yesterday evening, and it was very interesting, but also very complicated. And many things I didn't understand by listening the first time. I think Jeff is right. One has to see this video a second time to understand it better. And that's not because Bernard didn't explain it correctly, but because the subject is so complicated. But it's also very interesting. So very satisfied with that. And radio-wise, I think I can tell something in the next over. So for now, I pass the microphone to Natalie Maybrough. Natalie.
Yeah, very good evening to all of you. This is Delta Lima 8 Brow. There's a ticket for the group. Here's good to yesterday evening was amazing. It was a very, very special talk. And I think also the talk after the talk was quite good and interesting. And I think it touched also the philosophical things, the philosophy about being connected all over the world by very special, simple means, and even being connected outside the earth. And this is quite interesting, but I admit that I also have to watch it, I think, twice again to understand a little bit of it, how he made it working to get the system running there at his home duty age. So I have the microphone back to M0 AUG.
A few pops in the middle of both your overs there, but nothing that we weren't able to understand there. But not a problem. It's what it is at the moment, I think, with the internet and things like that. So, over to the US now. And a quick question for you, Bob, before we start. Are you a member of the RSGB? November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango. M0 AUG group. This is for X-Ray. Yes, I am a member of the RSGB. I'm a member of the AORL and the RSGB both. In addition to several other organizations. So I'm pretty well covered. I have dropped out of a few, and my voice isn't lasting very long. So I'll try to say what I can here. I enjoy. November 4 X-Ray Alpha Tango in the group, M0 AUG. I think we've lost you there, Rob. I just saw a breakup on the internet here. I'm going to surprise you, Jeff, because my voice isn't holding out. So, M0 AUG, November 4 X-Ray Alpha Tango. November 4 X-Ray Alpha Tango in the group, M0 AUG returning. Yes, fine on that, Bob. The answer to, or the reason for the question about being a member of RSGB on the latest RADCOM, which came out today, as far as UK is concerned, that's the July one. On page 80, there's an article about the Older Amateur Radio Club, and it was the annual presentation evening a couple of weeks ago, and there's a picture there of Alan, 20JWA, who has been very, very instrumental in putting Porter into the Oldham Club and into the area generally, receiving his award at the club when we had the members' evening a couple of weeks ago. So that was the reason for that one, Bob. So it's on page 80. I know you might be able to read it on digitally online as well, about halfway down on the right-hand side there. Running back over the list now. GM4JKZ in the group, M0AG. M0AG in the group, GM4JKZ. Do you copy me okay, Jeff? Yes, absolutely fine this time, thank you, thanks. M0A. From GM4JKZ. Yeah, I had a problem with the hotspot, that was all. But I think the link this end is not too brilliant on the internet tonight. The talk last night, I did go and have a look at some of the links, the Deep Space network. I actually managed to pick up on quite a number of the little dishes, and what I found interesting was the information
the spacecraft and also telescopes that they're monitoring. Found that quite fascinating. So a new direction for me to go and view and look at. Well, Legis told me Radcom's come out, and I haven't checked letterbox today, so I'll do that after we've had our chip back tonight. And the only thing I did get yesterday, Sprat has come out. So issue 203 is out now, summer 2025 document. But otherwise, I've not got a lot more to add. I've been pretty not very light on the radio, even though I've got the new rig back. I've been working around the house more and in the garden while the weather's been pretty good. So there we go. Okay. Oh, and I've also brought the 5100 back into the shack. I think it's going to live here now permanently, and I'll use the Kenwood handheld in the car for diesel. That's for sure. How about you, M0 AUG, the GM4JKZ? GM4JKZ in the group, M0 AUG returning. Yeah, the 5100 does sound good. Just like all I've got in the shack here. Yeah, the pulse was quite encouraging today. Radcom arrived, solid practical wireless, solid Sprat, and also another large glossy magazine and all amateur related. I'll be little bit older. But yeah, the reason I mentioned it to Bob is that obviously Bob didn't begin to voter, and Alan, who was elected as a new committee member of the older club about 12 months ago, has put an awful lot of work into taking the club into different directions with parks on the air and sorts and things like that. And he liked the award that was given to him a few weeks ago. And there's a picture of it on page 80 of that, and receiving the award. And there's a bit of a write up there which tells you about the history of the award as well. It goes back to a long time ago when the club started, which was pre-war. So that's the information on that one. There's some options look it up if you're interested in that. Over to you there, ADG 6MJQ in the group, M0AUG.
Years ago, I blew up an RF3 up the main. I had a Greenflex homebrew shortwave receiver, Coda, CR45, if I remember right, built from a kid. It was a bit deaf on the RF side, so built a 3 amp and blew it with a local footer. Anyway, yeah, hey, I'll miss these talks. Usually every morning about 5:05. Evenings aren't good times normally. I work another field for the next evening. It was news and dongles. The one from you that you meant for I've got several SDR dongles. The rugged delivery one, and a little fuzzy cube. They were used, the SDRs that were used, or were used the cube satellites and radio satellites. So, yeah, one or two there. So I'm going to have a listen to what on YouTube. But, yeah, so that should be good. And my HSB is pretty grim, although, I again got noise from 20 strong solar panels, so one more supportive, so that's annoying. But 40, late at night, European stations coming in, etc. And then sort of 5 o'clock, 6 in the morning, there's some activity. But later in the morning, it's been pretty useless on the
and then getting better in the afternoon. So not a lot of HF activity here, I'm afraid. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I'm fully signed up now for the new internet system here, via wireless, with the nice little white dish, well, 3 little 15 inch, so dish on the back of the bunker, pointing at the omnivore map. Just like JQ. Yeah, so it's totally wireless, so I've ditched or in the process of ditching B2, because I need for sort of 5 20 megabits per second, and I've got up to about 250 now with this new system. It's cheaper. So all good there. So that's my bit of good news anyway. Back to you, Jeff. M0AUG G6FJQ. G6FJQ in the group M0AUG, sorry. Yes, fine on the Teddy. I know you've had your frustrations with the internet over there, and obviously how you got a solution must so well done on that. Over to you now, Luke. JJJ in the group M0AUG. M0AG in the group GAKJJ. Thanks, Jeff. On Tuesday, I set up the 10-meter delta loop for 12 meters, and in fact it worked fairly well. This involved adding an additional tube. It was easy to adjust to resonance, and the tube slid in the top section, and it required about a 32-inch of additional height on the vertical. The top section stayed about the same, and it did work very well. I was very pleased with it. 12 meters was fairly flat. In fact, there were very, very few stations on, but I did manage to work into Brazil, and DSK reporter showed spots for Argentina and Ascension, so that was very pleasing. On Wednesday, the band was a little bit better, so I had another go with the 12-meter delta loop, and managed to work Qatar, Zambia, and spotted South Africa, South America, USA, and Hong Kong. So I really can't wait for better conditions. The one thing that was obvious about the delta loop is that it's very good for DX, and I think that was mentioned in the shootout presentation. I think Nick mentioned it. It's really good on DX, but it's fairly average on short skip. But that's good for me because I do enjoy working DX. So that's about as much as I've been doing this week. I've done a bit of NDAs, obviously, and I've done a little bit of VHF, but mostly spent hauling the antenna up and down. So back to you, Jeff, and the group GAKJJ. GAKJJ and the group M0. Yeah, fine on that. Sounds like you've had a very, very satisfying week with the experiments and this sort of thing, you know. So that's what it's all about. You actually showed up some good contacts there from what you were saying a short time ago. Well, they continue, because the conditions haven't been particularly good. I've not found. Not that I've had much chance to play radio at all for the past few weeks. But nevertheless, when I do listen, you can get an idea on just like the Ham Radio Deluxe, also where people are getting to. So thanks for that. Back to you there, Jeff. What's going to be the thing with you? M0AUG. M0AUG, the group coordinator of Hammerstein, about yesterday, one of the comments I got from the Belgian participants was how
nice and a friendly and open-minded group this is. So I think it is a big compliment for Pennine Ham, and I agree, it is true. So it was absolutely a great comment, I think. Okay, radio-wise, I have been monitoring 6 meters. 6 meters has been open from time to time, was able to work into Algeria, into Western Sahara, and into the Canary Islands. So, and Europe, all over Europe, of course. And 4 meters also was open at certain moments, and then put into Spain and to Italy and so on. So, quite happy about that. On 2 meters, there was an opening on 2 meters, I think, on Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, Monday. I would work some stations at NT8 on 2 meter and to Italy, and also into Switzerland. So, although the building, strangely enough, the building is between the antenna and the station. So, yeah, for me, it must be very good. I actually got a uniform tango, a Ukrainian station, a decode of the Ukrainian station while my antenna was beaming to the UK. So, this is very excellent. But I was not able to work that station. And on HF, I has been active mostly on 15 and 17 meters, and sometimes on 12 meters. And I found I had some contact there also into the States and into Brazil and into South Africa, and also Reunion Island. So yeah. So conditions are picking up again. By the way, I was not there last week, but not last Sunday, but the Sunday before, I got a visit from a Australian friend, Victor Diddle 2 Alpha Mike Foxtrot and his YL, who paid us a visit here while they were touring Europe. They actually has been in England for a couple of weeks, I would say, and now they are touring Europe, and they came along for some coffee, a beer, and some cake and things like that, and we really chatted about the hobby and about other things, of course. Okay, so that was a very nice meeting. And okay, Keith, thank you. Very good that you have your ESO transceiver back, and it's working brilliant. I'm making a USO through the demo load with 3 Victor 8. That's good news, I think. And also Louis, I think the loop, that's brilliant. Really interested into that and see what you are able to work. If conditions will be really very good, I think probably in September, October we will get the thing again there. So I put it back to you, Jeff. Mike 0A, which is the group coordinator, everything.
Right, I'm thank you in the group M0A, Jeff, your content is very comprehensive, and it must have been great to see those friends of yours who jumped in for coffee as well. It'll be interesting to see how the conditions develop in the autumn, won't it, for this year? But yeah. Over to you there, Nick. I did mention the older entry in Radcom, particularly because obviously Pennine Ham and Oldham have quite a close working relationship anyway. So I hope that wasn't a problem there. G4IW in the group, M0AUG.
M0AUG in the group from G4IW. Yeah, I saw the report of Oldham's meeting and the award given to Alan. That's lovely, and very, very good for Oldham Radio Club. And yes, I agree completely, Jeff. It's lovely to see their club doing various things and being active, and long may we continue to support each other and enjoy, get more out of the hobby, get as much out of this hobby as we can do, I think is the answer to that. And talking of getting a lot out of the hobby, I don't know if everyone spotted the event where Emil went to a very rare islands off on the air site in off the coast of Echo Alpha 5, Peneta del Moro, EU 151, and absolutely, even from Emil's standards, completely ridiculous attempt to hang a tent off the side of the structure on this tiny island and to both sleep in it and operate radio from it. And inevitably, he had to give up, and friends had to come out in a boat and take him off because he was getting water waves coming up into where he was trying to operate the radio. But he's such a lovely guy and so enthusiastic and prepared to push boundaries. And I do know actually that safety is completely paramount to Emil. I spoke to him quite a few times on the Rockall trip, and he was utterly focused on making sure that everyone was safe that was involved in it, and that they didn't have to unnecessarily involve any emergency services people to attempt to rescue them. But such a nice man, and I know that I'm jealous because I wasn't able to operate radio at the time. But Mike did get a CW QSO with Emil when he was operating Echo Alpha 5 stroke dear late JJ, and I shall forever be jealous of you, Mike, with your CW contact there. The other thing I've been doing during the week is submitting an entry to the RSGB yearbook, which will be launched at the Hamfest in September. So we will now have an entry from Pennine Ham in there with a few details about the club and contacts and so on. Unfortunately, I wrote too much, and Ed Durant, who was editing it, had to come back and tell me the sad news. I had to cut quite a few paragraphs out, which is a shame, but I think in the scheme of things doesn't matter. I'm just pleased that we're going to have a Pennine Ham entry this year in the RSGB yearbook. So back to you, Jeff. M0, AUG in the group, G4IWO.
M0 AUG returning. Yes, all good news on that one, Nick, and the final entry in the RSGB yearbook. I think at the time with starting with Pennine Ham, it was probably getting too time for publication date for us to be in the yearbook, because obviously the new entries will launch and something. So I go that's really good for this year as well. We're only talking now, it's not that long enough, is it really? So thanks for the update on that. Over to you then, Peter. M0 PBS in the group, M0 AUG. AUG? M0. M0 AUG, M0 PBS. It's before start. Yeah, most of my radio has been with the Nigo 6100. I must say I'm really impressed with that little radio. But it may be made by the Chinese, but it's quite impressive, particularly on FT8. I do better on 5 watts FT8 on FT8 with the Zymu than I do with the 991A on 25 watts. I don't know why, but that's what the results been. So quite happy with it, and it will. I've feed it into an offset dipole window, and the internal tuner on the radio is tuning from 40 down to 10 with no control at all, with an SWL well less than tips. Quite happy. It was a Christmas present from my lady wife, so quite pleased with that. And yes, with the old club, the old club on Saturday morning, that there's a rally locally here in Rochdale, which if people don't know, it is a borough within Greater Manchester. And the Rochdale District Amateur Radio Society have 2 rallies a year. So the Holden Club participates in that. So back to you, Jeff. M0 AUG, M0 PBF. M0 PBF. M0 AUG. It's 5
time, Peter, and thank you for the reminder of the Rochdale rally this weekend. I won't be able to make the event this year. I think you'll last year. Obviously, I think you push yourself quite a bit of stuff, and I think there's some stuff that's coming across now from Rip and Sal and Key. So I know you said you're going to be able to understand, so well, there's something, Peter. I don't think Dave will be there, but I think Chairman Mike will be there. Thanks for that. Well, it's Northwest Storage Unit now. And PO1BJW with DL8 BET now. M0UGT, Mike. Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey. First of all, as Nick already mentioned, I was very lucky to work Echo 5-stroke DLHJ stroke portable CW on 20 meters with our infrared half-wave antenna and 100 watts, and you really needed the 100 watts, and you needed a lot of luck because it was very difficult. Right from the beginning, the band was very crowded, and especially this frequency was very crowded. There was even another station from Spain calling CQ, and it was not easy to get through, but in the end we succeeded, but only with lots of luck. But I set up the tiny band of the east Spanish coast. It was really, as Nick said, ridiculous, but he made it, and he had a dream and he made it come true. And but in the end, he wanted to stay 3 days, and it had to be finished at evening or the afternoon of the first day, because waves became so tricky and so high up that he couldn't be safe in his tent any longer, which hung up from the tip of the tower, or how do you call it, the column on the island there. And so he had to get back, and his friends came and rescued him, so to speak. Yeah, that was another adventure from Evans. And we did some experimenting with the Rybakov antenna. We built one using an AliExpress whip, which, as you know, is 5.6 meters long, or a little bit shorter, and we used that at the length of 4.9 meters, which is the minimum length for a Rybakov antenna, using also a 4-to-1 antenna and only 3 radios, each only 3 meters long. And the antenna, of course, was ground mounted, and it worked very well. We worked in SSB into Barbados and into Anguilla, so that is 8 Papa 6 and Victor Papa 2, and in CW into Papa Yankee, that's Brazil, and were very satisfied with the operational quality of this antenna. Using the AliExpress whip, so it's also a possibility to take this along with your portable and put it up very quickly using the ground spike, and that's working really well, and I think you can put it up in about 6 or 7 minutes. And that was a nice experience. We have taken it down since, and regarding the weather coming up in the next few days, we've now only 2 infrared half-waves here in operation, which we will take down before the thunderstorm strike again. And so afterwards, I think we will go further on experimenting Rybakov antenna, which is a multiband, so very favorable for our very limited space and very limited possibilities here. But it's fun. Okay, so far from my side, passing the microphone to Delta Lima Bravo Delta Tank.
Yes, it's Delta Lima Bravo Delta Tango for the group. Yes, the adventure with Emil was quite amazing. I tried to reach him with the CW and 100 volts afterwards, but I didn't succeed getting through the pilot. But I was quite pleased that Mike got him, and this was quite interesting. I think Emil will prepare a film of this adventure, and I think he posted at Facebook that he will show it at the Ham Radio in Friedrichshafen. So perhaps, Nick, perhaps you can get him for a talk or so. This might be quite interesting. Yeah, when we took down the Rybakov antenna on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, because of the weather forecast and thunderstorms, we had a possibility to put up the NFET, which can be laid down by upcoming thunderstorms in a minute. And with this NFET, I made some experiments with the QMX and with FT8, and this was quite good. With this setup, I have been heard 3 times in Australia and 1 time in St. Helena, several times on the east coast of the US. And it's so we mentioned that the NSAT is nearly horizontal polarized. Only the last meter or so, or 2 meters, are going down from a 2-meter high pole, fishing pole, and in the sloper, inside the bushes here in the garden. And I didn't believe that it's possible with this antenna and with 5 volts and FT8 to make such distance. Quite amazing. So this is all from my side. I have the microphone back to M0 AUG for the group.
DLAPT with DL1 BJW. Congratulations to you both on your efforts. You've certainly worked some lovely contacts with you. There is a result of all the efforts you're putting in with the antennas. And okay on the situation with the wheel. Betty had a smile on his face all the time, even when things weren't working out as well as he wanted to do. Yeah, interesting that man. And I know last year at the RCB convention, I was having a great chat with Nobby, and he was sort of what a guy to work with, and obviously you had that experience as well. You've done very well with the QMX as well, Charlie. Everything you've done recently with the antennas has produced the results that you wanted. So well done to the pair of you. Okay, over to the US now. Number 4, expelled the tank with the group. Number 0, AUG. Zero AUG in the group, November 4, expelled the tank. My internet keeps dropping out, so if you lose me, that's why. I found that last night's talk very interesting, and what I really enjoyed, Nick mentioned it, is the fact that we had people both from the Netherlands and from Belgium on the board. So we got a couple of different clubs there involved, and I'm sure I enjoyed hearing what they had to say also, which was really nice. Locally, QSD has been very bad. A lot of the signal is S9, and then I won't be able to hear them. But on the other hand, I can't complain so far. The cycle has been pretty good to me. This month,
is the 25th anniversary of Louis Warney's passing, and he actually passed away on the 28th of June, and I'm hoping. Last night Ken got off too early, but I did write to him, and he is trying to find out whether they're going to have someone active using his call sign on the 28th, and if they do, I'll put it out on WhatsApp so that you fellows are aware of it. I'm sure, I know that during the year that they're putting out G5RB more often, and I presume that they'll have someone on the day he passed away. I'm hoping. I've been pretty busy with museum ships, of course. I didn't do any DX on museum ships. I did work quite a few stateside ships, though, both mostly on Sunday, I believe. I worked a few on Saturday, but I think that Sunday was my good day with that. And Coda, I've done very well. If I have time before I send the picture, I'll give you some of my stats on that. The picture tonight is going to be of LV13, which is now a restaurant, a museum, and a bar in a section of Hamburg. And yesterday, from my naval group, I got a video on Operation Sussex, or as some people call it, Operation Carpetbagger, which I found very interesting. And then later they sent a link to a 54-minute movie where a lot of these Frenchmen that were involved as radio operators gave their stories. Of course, they're old now, but they went back to the places where they actually jumped into in preparation for D-Day, and I found that very interesting. And today, Henry found a site where they had a translation of a lot of that stuff, and Henry sent me that translation, so I have to go. There goes my voice. So I'll give it back to you now. M0AUG-N4 XAT.
And Forex. Team of the group M0AUG returning. Right, we're going to start at the top of the list again. I'm assuming that you will have a picture at the end, Bob. I'm sure Jeff will, and I'm sure Keith will as well. So we'll go down the list as normal, and then what we'll do when we get into the middle there, and we'll probably skip Nick at that stage once we just get to the end of the list, and then Nick can do the wrap-up, followed by the contributions from Keith and Bob and Jeff in Belgium. So it's been a good night this evening, and thank you everybody for coming on here. We've got a good look through, haven't we? So we'll go down the list as normal, including those who are doing the pictures at the end, and then we'll take you from there. So GM4JKZ in the group, M0AUG. GM4JKZ, and yeah, I'm very jealous of things going on, especially with Mike being able to contact Emil. I did try last time he was out, but no luck. So congratulations on that one. Very impressive. And yes, I was looking at it, wondering how did he get the ropes up to attach his tent, that suspended tent affair. Thinking that it's just a pole basically. It must be pretty wet and slippery. So good on him for getting over there and trying it out. That's for sure. And interesting enough, I think it was Nick mentioned Mesh Tactic during the talk or after the talk last night, and I found it quite interesting because talking to Bob next door, who's the mountain rescue coordinator here for borders, they actually use the Mesh Tactic system to enable all of their searchers to hear everything that's going on. So he was explaining to me how they link into virtually right across the borders now to all the other groups using various repeaters and obviously the handhelds, which repeat. So quite fascinating, I must admit. I still haven't got the frequencies from him yet for the teams out there, so I'm just pressing on that one. And yeah, last night was very good with a multi-club group. I really enjoyed that. And I was surprised how long the after talk discussions went on. It was a shame I had to leave because I had other things to do later on that evening. So there we go. And the other radio thing I've been doing this week is starting to set up all the satellite frequencies and all the offsets into the 5100 and the D74. Those both of those can run both channels simultaneously. So I will be playing with those probably later this month or next month, depending on the weather, of course, and also where the satellites are in relation to here. So the only other snippet I've got is Jim, G4JBA, I think, is almost made his mind up on what radio he's going to go for, but I'll let him break the news to you. I might have to go down to Sussex and bend his arm. So back to you there, Jeff. The photograph, the picture tonight will be appropriate to last night's talk. M0AUG in the group, GM4JKZ. GM4JKZ in the group, M0AUG. Yeah, finally, that. You've got your work cut out, I think, doing all the programming for the 5100 and the D75, but you're worth it when you get there. And, look forward to hearing a bit more about Jim's decision at the end of the day. And we'll catch up with you towards the end there, Keith, when we get back to the fancy aspect now. So thanks for your contributions on everything else this evening. I will see you for your final Saturday. G6MJQ in the group, M0AEG. G6MJQ in the group, M0AUG. Well, to me, I think he's still connected, but we'll just try once more before we move down the list. G6MJQ in the group, M0AUG. So I'll come back to you later afterwards. So over to you for your finals this evening, Lou. And thanks for your company. G8KJJ in the group, M0AUG.
M0AUG in the group G8KJJ. Yeah, fine business, Jeff. And Jeff, well done on your VHF contacts. I did see on FTA that stations were working North Africa and the Middle East, but I couldn't hear them. So well done there. And Nick, it's great news that you've got Pennine Ham on in the RSGB book. That's excellent. It really raises the profile of the club. And thanks also to Jeff for hosting the net. It's been very enjoyable this evening, and lots of information there and interest. So very enjoyable. And I'll say 73s to one and all, and look forward to next week. M0AUG in the group G8KJJ.
JJ in the group, M0AUG returning. Yeah, following that, Lou, and as ever, good to have you as part of the group, and thanks for your contributions this evening again. I'll just see if Eddie's back with us. G6MJQ in the group, M0AUG.
third. How strange. We'll see if your normal final this time, Jeff. We'll pick the pictures up at the end. Oscar November 8 November Tango Indigo. M0AEG.
M0 AUG the group. 08 November Tango. All interesting. Thank you very much for all the contributions here, and especially congratulations to you, Mike, with working Delta Lima 8 Juliet and with your experiments with the Ribakov. Very good results with that antenna, and also you, Adriana, with the NCHAT. That's very impressive to work 3K with Firefox. That's really, really very impressive. And by the way, I observed during 6-meter openings that there is quite some CW activity down the band there. So that's maybe something to try. I actually made some single sideband QSOs into Spain, some friends of Ken, G4VZ3, some of his friends there. And also, I also run 2 or 3 stations in CW. So there is some activity on CW on 6 meters with the band as well. So don't limit yourself to FTA each time. Okay, the picture that I will send is a picture of a search and rescue boat, actually, which was used here in Belgium. We got 3 of them in 1948, which came from the UK. They were actually built at the shipyard of Samuel White on the island of White, and they have been put out of service in the 1980s, but now they have been restored completely by a group of freelancers, and the result is absolutely beautiful. So I will have a picture of that boat sailing on before our house event in the North Sea. So that's the picture of the night. And thank you very much, Jeff, for sharing this and putting all the effort in this. I think it was a very interesting net again, and I hope to catch you all next week on Thursday evening here for the net. And all the best also to our viewers on YouTube. So back to you, Jeff. 90 AVG, the group over there. November Tango.
M0AG here returning. Okay, thanks for your contribution this evening, Jeff. And we'll pick on your picture when we come down to the end. I'll skip Nick at this stage and we'll go in to get finals from the remaining few before we do Nick's wrap up plus the pictures up. So over to you for your finals, Peter. M0 PBF in the group. M0AG. M0 AUG, M0 PBF. Well, thank you for running that, Jeff, and thank you to everyone for your copy and conversation this evening. And I'll say something to all and pass it back to Jeff. M0 AUG, M0 PBF. M0 AUG, back to M0 PBF. Just to say, thanks again for your contribution, Peter, and I hope you have a good day at the rally on Saturday there. Right, over to all the German fuel finals, please, speaking of German. DL1 BJW with DL8 BUT, M0 AG. Over to you, Mike.
Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey for the final. Yes, that was a very good net again. Very pleasant Thursday evening, HI. And thank you, of course, especially to our host doing the honors at M0 AUG. And thank you to all of you for your company. Very interesting thoughts and for your comments as well. That was nice. So I'm looking forward to the next net and passing the microphone for this time to Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango with the final. Yes, thank you all very much for your company, and thank you, Jeff, for hosting the net. It was a pleasure as any Thursday to talk to you, and very inspiring. So all the best. 7388 from Northern Germany, handing the microphone back to M0AUG. Bye bye.
DIPDT with DL1 BJW M0AG, I think. Thanks both of you for your very comprehensive contribution to the net this evening. There's all the activities, the things that you two can get on to, with limited research and everything else. Never ceases to amaze me there. And well done on all your efforts. And I know you get great satisfaction from all of that. Right, so I'll just give Eddie a call to see if he's got anything before we bring him back in. G6MJQ in the group, M0AG.
No, I'm actually no problem. That is a bit low. As I have the DTT, it's the fast. Well, I think so you didn't get me that off. It is for that. Anyway, good night. Thanks, please, everybody. And have a good week. And I'll try to catch up on the YouTube video. That sounds great. So that's my task for the next few days. So thank you. Sorry, M0AUG.
Thanks, Eddie, and thanks for the contribution to the net this evening, and look forward to catching up with you next time from M0AG. Right, over to you there, Nick, for your final, and then we'll let Bob send his picture, followed by Keith, and then Jeff with this as well. So G4IW to take it, M0AG.
M0AUG in the group from G4IWO. Yeah, thank you everybody for very interesting discussion tonight of all kinds of topics. I was particularly interested in Lou's comment about changing the 10-meter delta loop to a 12-meter version and having a lot of satisfaction working into South America with that. It shows you, doesn't it, Lou, why Ken was having such spectacular results using his 40-meter delta loop on a mast in his garden. An absolute beast of an antenna, but he was just working most superb DX with that antenna, and I think it's very good indeed. I also took a phone call during the week from Bob, GM4DLG, who was, I was speaking, if you remember, a few weeks ago about his de-expedition down to the Pacific. And he's written about it as well in Radcom. He was ringing me to say that he was just about to press the go-ahead on a further Pacific trip, but this time he's been doing some work at home on the 80-meter vertical that he wants to use while he's out there. So he wants to make sure that the antenna is working properly before he takes it out anywhere. So he's almost certainly going to do it. And what he's agreed to do is to come and talk to the club before he goes out to the Pacific, as well as afterwards. And he said to me that he learnt a bit of a lesson from his last one, that he knows he would have been a lot more successful if he had done some publicity beforehand, and thought that us running a meeting for him and putting it on YouTube and promoting it would be fantastic for what he's tried to do to make those long distance DX contacts on 80 meters. So very, very good to hear from Bob, and looking forward to him coming back to the club. Our next speaker in a couple of weeks' time is our good friend Anthony Luska, K8ZT, who did agree some time ago, and I was just chasing him in the last week really for possible dates for him to return, and he said with what else he's doing, the end of this month, 25th of June, I think it is, would be the best date for him. So he's going to come back to talk about busting the myths of DX and contesting, particularly contesting, as he said, full of myths. And it's based on a talk he gave to the Contest University at Dayton a couple of years ago. So that will be a very, very interesting talk. And I was looking at the program for the Contest University that Anthony was part of. And some of the speakers, the call signs people here will recognize, like K3LR and W3LPL, with some of the largest radio stations and antenna arrays in the world, and very, very active contesters were two of the keynote speakers in that Contest University. So that would have been something. And yeah, I think your suggestion, Adriana, of approaching Emil to get him to talk about his de-expedition to that tiny island off the coast of Valencia in Echo Alpha 5 would be very, very good indeed. So I will definitely drop a note to Emil. I'm sure when he's free, he'll do that, particularly after Friedrichshafen. So I wish 73s to everybody. Have a lovely few days. I do hope that conditions on HF does improve a bit. There's been some very, very heavy QSB this afternoon, and there was a couple of days ago when I was on. So I'm hoping that that very deep QSB, very fast and deep QSB disappears so that it's possible to complete some of those contacts. And Bob was just able to hear me a couple of days ago on CW on 20 meters, but we were unable to make a QSO. So that will be an indication of conditions improving when we get another QSO in the log, Bob. So 73s, everyone. Back to you, Jeff. M0 AUG in the group G4IWO.
Group M0 AUG returning. Yes, I remember a few years ago when Tim Duffy and Sandy came to the RSGB convention. Tim was the keynote speaker there. Was obviously he did a presentation on the K3LR station as well. Very, very interesting. It was interesting to talk to Tim as well. That's a few years ago now, because it was when they both finished WRTC, I think. I'm just going to drop Gary whilst we have a coffee. Okay, so thanks everybody for the contributions this evening. It's picture time now. So over to you there, Bob, for your picture first of all. M4 X Alpha Tango in the group. M0 AUG.
Zero AUG in the group, November 4 X-ray Alpha Tango. My voter results are pretty good considering as of noon today, noon Zulu, I had 2,351 parks, so I can't complain about that. I have 22 countries plus the United States, so I have 23 countries, and I have 189 DX parks, so I'm not doing too bad that way. Today's picture is going to be a picture that I took it from the platform, the bridge that goes up to the Cap San Diego, but the picture is of LV-13, which for the last 25 years has been a restaurant, bar, hotel, and I have stayed there. It's a pity there's a boat that always parks in front of it, but still, this is one of my pictures, and you can still see LV-13. And LV-13 was built in the UK by Phillips and Sons in Dartmouth, and it was then taken over by the English Maritime Authority and was in service as a light ship for 36 years. In about 1993, it finally was moved to the Sporthafen section of Hamburg, and that's where it is now, and that's where it is the restaurant. And stand by, and I'll show a picture.
Alex Alpha Tango M0 aging. Perfect picture with me there. Over to you for comment, Keith.
From GM4 JKZ, yeah, I just got 4 blocks missing right in the middle of the base of the lamp on the ship.
I'll send it again.